Recently, I was watching an interview about how Amazon operates. So one of his CEOs were being interviewed, and he said that there is a rule at Amazon. If any of the employees come and give an idea, they have to say yes and try it out.
Celeste is often described as an on-demand supermarket. I see it something more than that, and I've been trying to dissect what exactly Celeste is. Is it a logistics company? Is it a tech company? Is it a retail company? Help me understand.
We've been able to ensure that nobody is kind of like restricted from giving their innovative ideas. There's no bad idea. We can work on it, we will work on it. So I had to learn by reading up online, watching YouTube videos, understanding how to do certain things. As we started growing, I always had this thing where I didn't want to be micromanaging.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure Celeste can be built in a way it can be scaled. It can be built in a way where you can take Janik away and the operation will still not just run but also grow.
Okay.
Right? Us Sri Lankans, we have the beautiful thing. The moment you go and speak to somebody and say, "Ayya, make karanda puluwan," no matter how important or how big they are, they come and try to help you as that Malli who's coming and asking, right?
Welcome back. This is a brand new episode of Power Moves. Can you believe we have come all the way through to the 9th episode of Power Moves, where we bring to you stories of game changers and trailblazers here in Sri Lanka. Today, my guest is very special. I have been trying to get him for quite some time, and after many scheduling errors and many scheduling dates, we have finally agreed on one date, and he is here. He is someone who has revolutionized Sri Lanka's quick commerce scene, and he now oversees Sri Lanka's fastest growing online on demand supermarket. කඩේ ගානට ඔබේ ගාවට බඩු ගෙනල්ලා දෙන Celeste Daily එකේ Janik Jayasuriya. Janik, welcome to Power Moves. Happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. So, like I said, after a lot of rescheduling, I'm very glad to have you. So let's dive in straight away to our conversation.
Sounds good.
Before we talk about Celeste, everyone knows about Celeste. I want to talk about Janik Jayasuriya. Before Celeste became the successful venture and business it was, and it is, who was Janik Jayasuriya?
Well, that's a very deep question.
Take your time.
So basically, I come from a family of four boys. So I have three brothers, and my dad is an entrepreneur. So we've always aspired to be like him.
Right.
Always wanted to be entrepreneurs. He comes from a family of siblings who are also a mix of entrepreneurs and professionals. My mom is a housewife, and she's been supporting us quite a lot. So we've always been pushed to do a lot of sports and stay active. So for me, growing up, the main focus was always rugby. And I think up until I went to university in Switzerland, I studied hospitality management.
Right.
Came back to Sri Lanka. The only thing I wanted to do before I started working was play for Sri Lanka.
Play for Sri Lanka.
So that was my goal. I came back. You would expect me to start working straight away. No, I went and started playing for club. Tried to pick up from where I left off. Played a couple of years. Played for Sri Lanka, and that's when I decided to start working.
Hang the boots.
Hang the boots. It was a very difficult task,
Yeah,
but it happened.
but you had to.
Yeah. So then after that, I had this thing where I always wanted to work on my own. As much as I loved working with my dad and learning from him and everything he does, I always wanted to create my own name, create my own business, and have my own thing. So I had studied hospitality, and I wanted to do something related to hospitality. And that's when Celeste was actually started as a hospitality management brand.
Right.
So that's why the name Celeste.
Okay.
People would ask, why would you call an online supermarket or a grocery store Celeste?
It sounds
Celeste-
very high street.
High street, right?
Yeah.
So Celeste was originally supposed to be a hospitality management brand. And then what happened was I started in 2019, where I formed the company, built the brand, invested all my savings, sold my car, put that money in, did all that in 2019. And then after that, the pandemic hit. So then that was the failure of my hospitality company due to the situation. But that was before Celeste Daily.
Right. So
Yeah.
with all of the ups and downs you had to face, let's dig deeper into those challenges and the fears. What was the lowest point in your journey so far? And what was the thought that was going through your head? Have you ever had doubts? Okay, maybe this might not work out because you're switching from one sector
Yeah.
to a totally different sector, from hospitality to quick commerce.
Yes.
What was going through your mind when that switch happened?
So, I mean, it was not something I planned for,
Mm.
right? Definitely not something I planned for. And probably if you ask me if I planned for it, would I have actually done it? Probably not, right? So, it was something purely situational. I had a team of about 30 people. I had to think about their sustainability, keeping them with their jobs. And then also, my brother told me someday during the pandemic, he called and said, "Why don't we use the resources that we have and try to see if we can do something for the people who don't have access to essentials?"
So Celeste was
So
running during the pandemic as well, not
yes,
daily,
so it
but
started in the middle of the pandemic. So that's how Celeste Daily started. So Celeste Daily was pretty much a solution to two things. One was the fact that we had idle resources that we wanted to utilize. And second was to make sure that we have a job for those people who were there. And then most importantly, to give something back to society and support the people at that time when people had no access to essentials. So started off in this way. We didn't have time to think. It was just setting up a business in the middle of a pandemic situation, worrying about your safety and your health and your well-being, not just for myself, my whole team, the riders, all the stakeholders who were involved. So all these were
it's a
challenges,
lot
but
of weight on your shoulders.
yeah, it was definitely. But I think it was still manageable because we were able to find solutions. We had to educate them. We had to show them what the purpose was that we were doing, what we were trying to achieve, the impact we were making in the number of families and lives that we were actually supporting with what we were doing. So all that was great up until the moment the lockdown was taken off. Because by then I had, without knowing, committed into this new business where I had got more team members. We had expanded in terms of building certain infrastructure, so on that we needed. And then I put in so much of time and energy into this. And then all of a sudden the lockdown has been taken off. And then I was one of the first to walk into a, a modern trade supermarket.
Okay.
I walked inside and I saw what people were experiencing. And that was the biggest moment of doubt and fear that I had at that particular time, right? Because I looked at it and I thought, okay, having access to this, such a big offering and this experience,
Yeah.
why would somebody come and order from me, order from Celeste?
Exactly.
So that moment of doubt or that moment of fear was something that I took back. I went back to my office and I was thinking about it, and then I thought, no, it's definitely something that's here to stay. It's a business that started in the middle of a pandemic. It started to support people, and I can definitely see it as a business that will grow.
Right.
And yeah, so that was the lowest point. We've had multiple challenges even after that, but that was, I would say, the lowest
The
point that I
lowest
had.
point. Right. Great. So since then, Celeste has constantly innovated and now it has positioned itself as an innovator in the particular sphere that you're operating in. And when it comes to grocery delivery, it's pretty straightforward. But Celeste has gone beyond that. Now you say freshness delivered in under 30 minutes. How do you keep that spirit of innovation alive? Because once you innovate and once you put it out into the consumer, into the market, there is an inherent expectation for you to continuously keep innovating, to bring in fresh ideas, to bring in new processes. How do you keep that spirit alive and where do you generate those ideas from?
So that's a very interesting question, right? So, I mean, Celeste is all about innovation
Yes.
and disruption, right? And we have a very young team, and our team is constantly thinking of ideas. And I myself I'm always thinking about different things that we can do, what we can bring in. And if you go back to during the pandemic when we started, we were the only ones who were pretty much delivering within a few hours or the same day. So everybody started off by being really happy with Celeste to see that whether it was quick commerce at that time, you're talking about 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then it gradually evolved from there to today being 30 minutes.
Okay.
So that innovation in being able to deliver in 30 minutes, being able to deliver 24 hours, being able to have multiple differences in the way we operate and so on, are things that have come as ideas within the team. And also by having the opportunity for anybody to speak up. I think
Okay.
at Celeste we have a very clear policy when you can never be too small.
It's an open
It's an
environment.
open environment. Anybody can give their input. They can give their ideas. And we've got ideas from everybody. Sometimes from the lady who makes the tea for us, right? She's given really good input sometimes. Or the engineering team, they give us really good input. So we take that in, we think about it, and we see what we can try to do with that idea. And we've been able to ensure that nobody is kind of like restricted from giving their innovative ideas. There's no bad idea. If we can work on it, we will work on it. If it's something that can be paused, we'll do it later. Recently, I was watching an interview about how Amazon operates, right? And
Bezos.
yeah, Jeff Bezos, right? So one of his CEOs were being interviewed, and he said that there is a rule at Amazon. If any of the employees come and give an idea, they have to say yes and try it out. If they are to say no, they have
to give a reasoning.
They have to give a reasoning. There's a long process there to go through, which I saw that and I said that's something that we can potentially implement because it's a fantastic idea. It doesn't kill that motivation and that momentum of innovation and ideas, right?
Yeah. See, when you were talking about that interview, one thing that came to mind was a recent podcast I was watching, Diary of a CEO,
Right.
Stephen Bartlett with Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary used to work for Apple and in close contact to Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
And at one point he says, Steve Jobs, sometimes he says, this is my idea. The people don't know what they want. I know what they want. And they don't know they want it until I tell them they want it. And sometimes he would brush off ideas brought in by other people, so which is a stark contrast. And those are different leadership styles because Bezos and Jobs were successful in their own right. When it comes to leadership within Celeste, starting from the top with you flowing down, cascading to the middle management and then to the lower management, how has personally your leadership role changed over the years? I'm sure you are not the leader you were when Celeste started off, and you have eventually grown, I would say. One, how have you grown as a leader personally? Do you read? Do you network with people? Who are the people you surround yourself with to be inspired? And how has your leadership style changed over the years?
So, as a sportsman, for me, leading has always been something where I lead from the front and I lead by example, right? So when we started off with Celeste, I had to pretty much do everything because nobody had the understanding or the expertise to do this stuff, including myself.
Right.
So I had to learn by reading up online, watching YouTube videos, understanding how to do certain things. So it was a lot of setting up processes and so on that were done on the fly, right? So I was able to learn, teach, guide, and continue to grow. And as we started growing, I always had this thing where I didn't want to be micromanaging.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure Celeste can be built in a way it can be scaled. It can be built in a way where you can take Janik away and the operation will still not just run but also grow.
Okay.
Right. So then I always wanted to have another tier of top management who would start working and learning and understanding what I would do and my mindset and my requirements and how we should run. So one of the things that I have always done was I had this thing where I used to be very emotional sometimes when people leave, or my expectations where if things suddenly change and somebody lets me down. But one of the points of maturity I think that came to me with time was understanding that whatever you do for your team, do it without expectations, right? Somebody could let you down. That doesn't mean that you would take that up in the way you change how you approach other people and what you would do for your team members.
Because you don't know what's around the
You
corner.
don't know what's around the corner and you don't know why they took that decision. You don't know what led them to
Have there been instances where you were disappointed by a certain employee
I've
leaving?
had multiple. I mean, up until now, I've had multiple people who I have taken care of with a lot of heart. And sometimes they suddenly decide that they want to up and leave, or they find a better opportunity, and timing can be completely off. But to me, I'm extremely happy when somebody gets a good opportunity. If it's not something I can match, I'm happy to see them grow and come up in life. But as you said, for me, in terms of associating and learning, yes, I had a great opportunity learning from my father, my brothers, and family and mentors that I've had for me to really learn from. But recently, I joined the Chamber of Young Lankan Entrepreneurs, COIL, right? So COIL has given me access to a large group of young
ecosystem of
entrepreneurs, right? So we have the very young entrepreneurs and also the very senior entrepreneurs who are still there to kind of groom and support and guide the younger entrepreneurs. So when you see what they've achieved and you see how they've achieved it and the way they've structured their businesses and you hear them speak and associate them, it becomes more relatable,
Yeah.
right? So you start seeing that you can push yourself more, and you have access to so many people you can speak to get some advice or guidance in
Bounce off
anything.
ideas.
Yeah, and I mean we have this concept of ayya, right? So you're able to just go and say ayya make or something and talk to somebody,
Udav karagana.
and straight away us Sri Lankans, we have the beautiful thing. The moment you go and speak to somebody and say ayya make karanna puluwan, no matter how important or how big they are, they come and try to help you as that Malli who's coming and asking, right? So for me, that is a great thing where I can go up to anybody in that group, and we have some of the top business owners in the country who's in this group, and you go and talk to them. They would definitely give you their time to teach
Right.
you and help you. I am yet to really use a lot of those advice and so on, but it started. I mean, and it also helps you when you associate. You can see people with similar problems or similar challenges that they are facing,
So you can
and
face them together.
can face them together, right? So it helps a lot. It motivates you, and like you said, you associate as like-minded individuals. But as a leader, I think I've evolved a lot. I've grown a lot, but I don't want to change the way I would lead. One of the things that I always want to continue right now is as Celeste grows and as our team really grows, I don't want there to be a big gap between myself and the rest of my team. So I try my best to at least occasionally spend time with them, take them out, hang out with them a little bit, and make sure that I'm
Associate
still
them
associate
informally.
them informally, right? So you can still have access, right? And you feel it sometimes
Yeah,
when
yeah.
there is a gap, when there is a bit of a distance created. I have realized that it's not the same.
Right.
So I think obviously when you keep growing, it gets harder.
Yeah.
And I can definitely understand how others who have much bigger teams would operate. But I think it's also about the leadership structure you create and how you have others underneath also to support you in the same way.
See, getting that buy-in, I want to talk to you about
Yeah.
the growth of Celeste, big picture and strategy as well. But then creating a brand as a founder, yes, you're invested because it's your baby. But getting other people, from employees to consumers to anyone who is interested, to get their buy-in is what's difficult. Now, I see you wearing the Celeste motif and the badge wherever you go.
Yeah.
But I've also seen your employees doing the same. They are as passionate as you are to rep the brand.
Yeah.
And that representation means so much because it creates a notion of trust within the consumer's mind. Right? How did you inculcate that passion, so much of passion within the Celeste family?
So I was quite lucky where straight after university, I did 2 internships at Hilton.
Right.
And I think Hilton taught me a lot. I worked at Colombo Hilton as an F&B intern. I washed plates, polished cutlery, served tables, cleared them. And I had the opportunity to learn and work with a lot of people. Then I worked in the US at a Hilton property again. That was in front office department.
Okay.
And I think one beautiful thing about Hilton is Hilton doesn't use the word employee. They use the word team member, right? So that is a culture that I brought into Celeste, where we do not use the word staff, employee anywhere.
Team
It's
member.
purely team member, right? And that team member mindset gives everybody a sense of belonging, where anything that we do, whatever we achieve, is never something that I say that it's something I achieved.
Yes.
It's something
It's
that the
we.
team achieved, right? What we have achieved together. And when they do something, they're acknowledged. We go and celebrate together. We work hard. We achieve things together, but at the same time, we will celebrate afterwards together. And I love to create this workplace, a culture where everybody feels like they love the brand and they're part of the brand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like you said, I have this band on
Exactly,
me.
yeah.
I have this. You check my watch. It's
Celeste
Celeste,
brand,
right?
yeah.
The brand on it. So multiple places where I am proud and I live and breathe the brand because that's how much I believe in it and how much I love it. And I love to see the fact that now my team is the same, right? There's so many people, if you take their phone, it's on their
Celeste is their
wallpaper, their laptop. And these are not just their official equipment, even if it's their personal.
And it's not mandated by the
It's not
company.
mandated. No, we
They're
don't.
doing it in their own
They
accord.
like it, right? And if you just browse through their social media, they're all posting, sharing, resharing Celeste whenever they can. And these are not things that I have asked for. They know that I can see.
Yeah.
These are genuinely things that they do because of the sense of belonging and the ownership that they have towards Celeste. And I definitely recognize that. And I recognize that and I love that. And that's something that I don't want to change about the team. And I think it's also something I learned and kind of like saw even Shalin doing really well, right? I learned from him where I see He's built this culture, and you see the entire Sparsilon team.
Yeah.
All of them just love that brand. And even if they do an internship there for a short time, they take that with them, right?
Which projects a sense of
Projects,
confidence
exactly.
to the consumer
Consumer
at the
as
end
well.
of the
Like,
day.
because if your team is happy, if your team loves and believes in your brand, then a consumer can also feel a bit more confident
And
about
be
that, right?
and be loyal to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. So now let's talk about Celeste's
Yeah.
growth. Celeste is often described as an on-demand supermarket, but I see it something more than that, and I've been trying to dissect what exactly Celeste is. Is it a logistics company? Is it a tech company? Is it a retail company? Help me understand.
I think that's something very confusing for me as well,
Yeah,
right? Because we have a bit of all of that,
yeah.
right? So one of my friends, very early stages, told me, he said, you keep thinking that you're doing this online supermarket, right? And you're doing fulfillment and all these
Yeah.
things. But to me, you're a completely tech-based company, right? And he comes from a tech background, right? And he said, so if I were you, I'd start thinking more from a tech background and a tech approach, the way you look at this business,
Yeah.
because your entire business is dependent on technology,
Yes.
right? So we have a mix of all of that. We have a great marketing team. So when it comes to branding, PR, marketing,
Okay.
that is a big component in our business.
Right.
Building the brand, building that loyalty, and so on. Then we have the fulfillment part, which is more like a logistics company, whether it is the inbound to our distribution center, outbound to our fulfillment centers,
Yeah.
and then fulfilling the actual orders
That's
to
the thing.
customers 24 hours.
Exactly.
So all these components are coming, and then we have our IT team that is in-house who are constantly pushing to look at how we can get better technology, whether we can improve what we can do. So I've also had to learn a lot. So
That's the thing, because there are troubles. You might be an expert
definitely,
in one,
yeah,
but you might have to gain some knowledge on the
in
others.
every area, right? So for me, I would say when I started Celeste, I had absolutely no idea about some of the basic stuff about technology. I didn't know what an API integration was. Then I had to learn about all of those stuff because it was required for the business, and I couldn't afford to hire somebody who had that understanding.
Right.
So I had to be
Yes.
the one to learn, understand, and implement. But eventually, now my team has learned with me, and they have also come to a point where they can manage a certain part on their own to a great extent.
Okay.
But then when it comes to demand planning, supply chain, the category department, all these areas are very specific to retail and to FMCG, I would say, right? So that is also something that I've had to learn and kind of adapt to over the
Okay.
years. So these are all areas where you keep understanding
Yes.
that now you're not just in this business of retail. You have an IT component. You have like an entire marketing brand building component
Yeah.
and all these stuff that are really playing in it. So, like you said, today I would say Celeste has multiple hats, right?
Right.
And what we are working on is it's not now we have the infrastructure, we have the entire operation set up. Now we are going into fulfillment where we are not going to do it only for Celeste. We are opening our doors for anybody. Any brand, any business that wants to be accessible online 24 hours
Can use your
can use our
services.
services and they can come approach us and we can set up a structure to be able to accommodate their products. And it doesn't have to be FMCG, it doesn't have to be stuff that are available in a supermarket.
So you don't fit into one
No,
vertical.
we don't. You can have anything. I mean,
You're agile.
you learn from a massive market that is streets ahead of us, like India, right? One of the brands that I really look up to and learn from in India is Blinkit, right? So Blinkit is currently delivering in 9 minutes to 10 minutes, 24 hours, and you can buy anything from your laptop, an iPhone to whatever delivered to your doorstep, right? So they have created this ecosystem, they built this entire infrastructure required to do this, but they're not just sticking to selling only the FMCG, right? They're also making everything else available. So that's what we are currently working on to have that product available for our customers. We might not be able to get to the 10 minutes. We might need time to get there.
But you will strive
But we
to
will
be
strive
better.
to get as close as possible. We work very closely with the aggregators that we have in the market right now, like Uber Eats and Pick Me Market. And they are also constantly developing and evolving, improving their standards and doing whatever they can. Because don't forget, this is a market that has really grown and picked up in the last 5 to 6 years.
Especially quick commerce.
Quick commerce,
Everyone knows e-commerce, but
yeah.
very little know about quick commerce, which is where Celeste
Exactly.
positions
So I
itself.
think understanding the difference, first of all, what is e-commerce and what is quick commerce, right? So essentially, quick commerce is ordering it online, getting it delivered in less than 2 hours,
Okay.
right? So it started off with 2 hours, and today it has evolved to a point where people are
Faster
expecting
turnaround times.
even 10 minutes, like in India, right? So if you look at Celeste, sometimes off peak in the night, you might get it in 10-15 minutes. But our average is about 30 minutes at the moment, right?
Right.
So there's a lot you can do with quick commerce. and it is quite new. And if you look at it globally, it is growing at almost 25% per year.
Per year.
Right?
Right.
And it's a massive market.
And it's an area young Sri Lankan entrepreneurs can exploit.
Definitely they can. I mean, whether it is working with Celeste, whether it is coming up with similar concepts or whatever it is, there's a lot of work.
And you would
yes.
like that.
I'd love
You'd
it.
like more players in that
I'd like to see
space.
it because I mean, at the end of the day, when there is competition, that's when the market gets bigger
Grows.
and grows, right? So people will start having more options. People will start coming into it and utilizing it, right? This is not something that we wanted to do and hide and keep it to ourselves. That is why we're opening it up to the market.
Definitely.
Where we're saying we've done it, we've learned, and we have it as a POC.
Yes.
If you want us to handle it, just give it to us. We'll handle it for you. You can
So-
be, yeah.
Janik, you're so passionate about everything, and it shows. You're passionate, you're excited, you're motivated. Being motivated constantly, especially when you're a founder, growing your own brand, it can be exhausting at times,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What keeps you motivated when that excitement fades, when work becomes routine, sometimes when work becomes tedious? How do you keep yourself motivated on your feet, constantly innovating and developing?
I think everybody has their own ways of being motivated and pushing themselves, right? To me, one of the areas that I have given very little, space for has been my faith, and I think that has given me a lot of strength without my even knowing it. And apart from my faith, I would say it's also my family who have supported me a lot. Whenever I have a down day or anything goes wrong, whether it is my wife, my brothers, my parents, they're all there to support and uplift me and push me to say there is more. Don't worry, there is a bigger purpose in what
You'll
you're
get
doing,
through this.
right? And then for me, when I see what impact we do to our consumers, right? The impact in terms of making their life easier, right? Letting them spend more time with their kids without going and spending time on things that they can very easily replace with this, right?
Exactly.
And then my friends, right? I have a group of friends who are so supportive. They would turn up. They know that Janik is normally stuck at work and difficult to try and meet up. So sometimes at 10 o'clock in the night, they'll turn up at my apartment, right? They will stay there, and half an hour down the line, I'll be sleeping on the couch,
Yeah.
but they will still stay there. They'll hang out. If I wake up in about a half an hour, 1 hour, they'll continue to hang out with me for a bit. They make that effort to spend time with me, despite the fact that I might be busy or tired. And I have a great group of friends like that. who
And you
support
might
me.
not acknowledge it then, but it means a
Yeah,
lot.
it means a lot. I mean, you really need that support system. Not just your family, you need your friends. And then most recently, I've been hanging out with more from like the Coil friends to so many others who've been supportive. And I've had friends, so for an example, Joel, seeing how he operates, seeing how he's really growing and expanding. It's motivation within our own society, right? Where we see friends, people who are not too far away from us, who motivate each other. Some days he could see me and think, oh, Janik is doing it, maybe I can
Why
do
can't
that.
I?
Same way I look at him and I think, okay, great to see him doing that. That's an idea I can do. And you
Yeah.
shouldn't be proud. You should have the humbleness to be able to think that is an idea I took from him. And I like to learn from him, right? You can learn from anybody. And recently, this year, I became friends with Nolene, right? Nolene, who owns Nolene's. She's been a great strength, right? I mean, there are days where sometimes if I am lazy, if I don't go to the gym, she would even send a message and be like, hey, why aren't you at the
Where are
gym?
you?
Right?
Yeah.
Or she'd be like, you should push me a little bit more, right? To say, Celeste has so much you've achieved, you can do this, you can do that. And you can see how she's done that in her business. So like that, there are so many friends who are there to support all the time. Danu has been a massive strength to me from day one.
Yeah, he's been on the show as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He's been a massive strength. Like, believe it or not, I think Celeste got the exposure it has today. And I think I owe it to him to say this, and I've never said this before. Probably because of Danu. Because starting off, when nobody knew much about Celeste, when it was
I
just...
can just hear him laughing when he's going to
When
watch this.
he ultimately watches
yes,
this, right?
exactly.
Because we randomly started talking when I went for a haircut. And then he started talking to me. He asked about Celeste, and he was so impressed about what I've done. That was my first opportunity to get on like a show and talk about what I've done. And after he did that was when everybody else started hearing about Celeste and knowing about Celeste. And I think he played a massive role there.
That initial
That
visibility.
initial visibility he gave me. And then after that, believing and supporting also, right? He was like a unofficial brand ambassador of Celeste. He was doing videos for us. He was promoting it all the time. And till date, he's there as a support, right? So I think that entire team who was there with me, from my friends, family, stakeholders who've been there from day one, have been a part right throughout.
Yeah, because they say the entrepreneurial journey is lonely, right? You are going at it on your own to develop something that you believe in.
Yeah,
But at the same time, there is an entire ecosystem of people who are feeding into the motivation and the
yeah,
drive you
definitely,
have to achieve what you achieved.
definitely.
Great. So let's talk about legacy. This is something I'm very interested in because some people make their brand or make their company theirs. And it's very hard to distinguish between that person and the company. If Celeste was to, let's say, disappear tomorrow, what legacy would you want people to remember about you?
I think Celeste is one entirely separate entity, and then you have Janik, right? To me, anything I do, I believe in people. Like if you take Celeste, it's a completely people-centric business. I care about all stakeholders. My team, I care about the delivery riders who are third-party members who support us in making sure the last mile is done. I care about our customers, and if a customer has had a disappointment, I take it personally. My team takes it personally. None of us let it go until we find out what happened and where it went wrong. So I think what I would want anyone to remember is that the people-centric approach in how I have done stuff. And Celeste is just one business that I've built in 5 years together with my team. And I think it's not about just that business. It's about being able to have the skill set and the leadership skills to build that. And if you can build one, you can build multiple of that,
Multiple,
right?
yes.
So it's just that I think each of these entrepreneurs you hear who speak about a massive business they've created, you sometimes talk about just one, or maybe the big one that they started off with. But they probably have hundreds of those that are built, but you never hear about it because that is not one of the highlights of what they
Yeah.
would normally promote and talk about.
Exactly.
But to me, I always wanted to build my own name. I have been extremely proud and honored to have people say that I am my grandfather's grandson or Vasanta's son or so and so. But at the end of the day, for me to now be able to be known for Janik Jayasuriya, know about Celeste, it's a massive amount of pride and joy for me to know
When
that.
people
Yeah.
say he is Zanik's father,
I,
you know,
I give my father all the
credit.
credit,
Yeah.
and he's somebody who has done unthinkable things and supported so many, and he's achieved so much from down up, and
Big shoes to fill.
big shoes to fill. And also at the end of the day, he's not somebody who likes to show what he's achieved, right? I'm pretty sure every time I come for an interview, every time I talk, I keep thinking, if you compare what my father has achieved in his life, he has never had the opportunity because he doesn't go out and talk. But there's so much more that somebody like him, and there are multiple like him who have achieved so much and who have never had the chance to voice that story because they're not people who care about recognition. They're not people who care about
They like to
brand.
work
They like
in
to
the
work.
sidelines.
Their purpose is more about supporting the family, building a business, supporting all of their other dependents. It could be the rest of their family and so many people. Very few of them really care about the recognition,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So for my dad, for an example, he's not somebody who cares about any recognition.
They
People
only care
talk
about the
about
results.
exactly. People talk about Little England Cottages, iconic project in Sri Lanka and in Asia, which even the UK doesn't have a project like this. But nobody knows that this is built
The
and the brain
brainstorming
was
and
all
the
everything was
brainchild
done
was.
by my father, right? Because he refuses to put his face up. Very recently, for the first time, there was a foreign tour, like a tourist who came in and he did a video. And when he was walking around showing Little England, that was the first time that he happened to get my dad on camera and talk to him. And then he gave him a tour of the property and everything, uh, as a guest who was there. And then he found out that this is the gentleman who owns it, right? So yeah, so it's a different mindset, I think.
Amazing. Some different generations as well.
Generation, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
There's much that I want to discuss with Zanik, unfortunately, but because we don't have a lot of time, I want to wrap up with this one particular question. Finally, if you could put one message on a giant billboard in Sri Lanka, wherever, Colombo, outstation, wherever, for every young Sri Lankan entrepreneur to see, what would it say?
One billboard.
A billboard with a message from Janik Jayasuriya to all the young aspiring entrepreneurs.
I've never had that question being asked. I've never had to
It's
think
okay, take
about
your
that.
time, don't worry.
But it's a very interesting thing to do. Because I mean, I always talk about how this is our home. This is Sri
Yes.
Lanka. This is all. This is where we can have a
Be
lot
all
of
and all.
opportunities, and right.
Yes.
And if taking shortcuts is not your way forward. Everybody can take a shortcut, but I don't know how you can simplify it to put it as one tagline per se. That I'm not that creative to come up with a
No, it's
tagline.
fine. It's fine.
But
It's just the message that matters.
message is something similar to saying, "This is home, and together we can conquer." Right?
Great.
And there is so much we can achieve in Sri Lanka, and that's why I always make sure I make time to come and talk and do a podcast, interview, whatever possible, because I think for us as young as we are or as entrepreneurs, with being able to achieve the type of things that we've achieved in a short time, it might be very small compared to so many other people who've achieved way more, but you can relate and you can be somewhat closer to somebody who wants to start off their entrepreneurial journey, and you don't feel like you can't relate, right? So right now, when you look at somebody who is massive, somebody who's achieved a lot, you might think that it's not something you can achieve because it's way too far away from
away,
it, right?
beyond your grasp.
Beyond your grasp, right? But then when you look at somebody like myself, who's very, small, not too matured, or the business is quite small, you can think, okay, this is something that I can still achieve. This is something that I can work towards. So it's achievable, right? It's realistic. So that is, I think, something very important, and I think you see that happening a lot with a lot of young entrepreneurs now. And I think Shalin was one of the guys who brought it in. Then you see Joel doing it. You see Banuka doing it. You see so many people coming forward and doing it.
Then it spread.
It spreads, right? And initially, like, it started off with just the English podcast, and then it started coming into Sinhalese because,
Yeah.
I mean, we have a massive population of people
That's-
who want to learn and understand, who would understand better if you give it to them, give them
Deliver it in
agency,
Sinhala,
give it in
yes,
Sinhalese,
yes.
right? So to me, I love to be a part of that. I love to support them, let them have that guidance and whatever we can give. And so one thing that I said at an interview once that I also picked up online was, when your mother is sick and in her sick bed, and she's having a tough time recovering, that is not the time that you would leave her and go looking for a better opportunity, right? You would stay with her, you will take care of her, and you will get her out of that situation. And that is, I think, where Sri Lanka has been for the last few years, where we've had so many challenges, whether it is the global pandemic to the economic crisis, political situation, all these areas, but it's still our country, it's home. And I think there's so much of opportunity if everybody gets together and does their part. And I think everyone has to think positively, right? To me, one of the things that I always say to my team is, if it's something that is within our control, let's give it 100% and let's fix it. Let's make sure we achieve it. If it's something that is outside our control, I don't care about it, because there's very little I can do. But it's not worth that effort and time that I put to worry about something that is outside my control.
We'll take it as it comes.
Take it as it comes.
Amazing. So,
Yeah.
great parting thoughts and words by none other than Janik Jayasuriya, who's the founder of Celeste. Janik, thank you so much
you.
for coming down and agreeing to do the podcast. I know it's been a very hectic schedule over the past few months. Celeste is growing. You are looking to scale, but you have nonetheless taken the time to come to our podcast, to speak to our audience, to inspire this generation, and I'm sure the next as well, because your words inspired me certainly, and I'm sure our viewers can relate as well. We hope to
Happy
see
to
you.
hear that. Very
Yes,
happy to hear
certainly.
that.
Thank you. We are certainly hoping to have you back on Power Moves, maybe when Celeste goes global. Who knows? Thank you very much for joining me, Janik, and all the
Thanks
best.
so much. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you on a brand new podcast on Power Moves. Till then, take care and stay safe.